Xavier wasn't soft, man. And Larry wasn't either, man. Larry said, man, I'm going to give it to you any way I want to.
Yeah, I'm a rookie. I'm glad to be in the league. I'm in the Boston Garden, and I'm guarding him, right? First play of the game, he said, I don't know why you got you guarding me, Holmes.
But Larry was, he would talk, and he would say, Sal, you better ask for a double team, bro.
Larry never was going to take a break. Larry was going to go get an offensive rebound. He was going to go set a back pick. He was going to do something to impact that possession.
Larry Bird remains a timeless legend in the sport of basketball. I mean, the man was known around the league as Larry Legend, further solidifying his legend status in the league's history books. It comes as no surprise that his unrivaled skill set, paired with his will to dismantle his opponents, instilled fear in even the league's leading stars at the time. Bird wasn't the loudmouth like Garnett or all up in your face like Rodman was, but he was still one of the most vicious trash talkers the game has ever seen. Bundling this with his elite level play, he was cold-blooded. In a league filled with giants, there was one man who didn't look the part, but owned the court like few ever could. He wasn't the fastest, he couldn't jump the highest, but ask any legend, from Magic to MJ, and they'll tell you, watch out for Larry Bird. Even Bird's closest friends were not spared from his dominant nature and the terror he brought to each player he crossed paths with, often bringing sleepless nights to his opponents who were doomed to face him the following day. Literally, take it from his longtime rival and colleague, Magic Johnson himself.
I didn't want Larry to like me. He didn't have to like me, but, we both respected each other. I knew Larry could beat me. If I made mistakes, if we didn't play our best game, Larry made me have sleepless nights, right?
And it wasn't just about talent, it was about the way Bird played. He could dissect a defense with precision passing, hit impossible shots with a hand in his face, and talk trash while doing it, all without breaking a sweat. You couldn't relax. You couldn't afford a bad quarter. Not against Larry. Magic always respected Bird and considered him one of his closest friends on and off the court. But that fear Magic was talking about is what made Bird a league-wide nightmare for everybody. However, for Dominique Wilkins, meeting his lifelong hero for the first time during his rookie season did not exactly go as planned. You see, Wilkins was about to see firsthand what a proper NBA welcome was going to be like.
Your first game against Larry Bird. You go up to shake his hand because you're a fan. And what happens next?
It was shocking, and I'm a rookie, and I go up against, we small forwards because guys guarded each other back in the area. You couldn't duck each other. And so I go shake his hand, and he put both hands behind his back.
Bird didn't give a pass to anyone, not even a fellow All-Star or Hall of Famer. What more for a rookie who had barely touched the waters of the league? To him, everyone was fair game. He saw fresh faces as targets, not teammates in waiting. If you stepped on the court with him, you were getting the full Larry Bird experience.
And I'm saying, okay, he's getting his head ready to play. And first play of the game, he says, I don't know where they got you guarding me, Holmes. And he shoots a three. I was pissed. I said, I wasn't mad he hit the three, but this called me Holmes, And so it's set up for a really interesting game.
Wilkins would later say, when you look into the eyes of Larry Bird, you see a killer, not just a scorer or a trash talker, but a ruthless competitor who wanted to break your spirit just as much as he wanted to beat you on the scoreboard. And Dominique wasn't alone in feeling that. A young Michael Jordan witnessed firsthand the danger Bird could be beyond the arc in the now infamous 1988 three-point contest where Bird didn't even bother taking off his warm-up jacket, showing everybody he didn't even need to try.
You see Larry finishing off. Look at that smooth rhythm. The shot, one step back, pick it up, the shot. Back and forth. He is like a machine, and the results are almost like a machine.
He ain't took off his top yet. I didn't see when he took off his top. I tell you, it's hard to shoot out the bird just made 23.
Jordan saw it all. Pure confidence backed by pure skill. But while Bird was lighting up the arc, he was also making life miserable for some of the league's best big men. Patrick Ewing was no stranger to trash talk. He was physical, vocal, and never backed down from a tough matchup.
Larry and I got to be great friends during the Dream Team. And, you know, it's funny, he talked so much trash. Always talk trash. Talk trash on the phone, on the floor. It was talking so much trash during the Dream Team, and that's how it started.
Ewing was no stranger to talking trash himself. He was physical, vocal, and never backed down from a challenge. But even he had to admit that Bird was on a different level.
Did he talk trash on the floor?
Oh, definitely. I mean, I think that story you talked about, X, I think that's one of the stories you got from me.
Oh,
you might have got it from me. But, you know, he always talked trash.
And if Ewing thought he had a sharp tongue, Gary Payton took it to another level. The Glove was one of the most relentless trash talkers the league had ever seen, but even he had to tip his hat to Bird, because when two masters of the mental game collide, only one walks away with the edge, and more often than not, it was Bird.
You know what I'm saying? I mean, she got in at 10:30. You mad at me now because I know what time she got in. You feel what I'm saying?
Bird talk shit like we talk.
Let me tell y'all something. Bird used to tell me, look here, man. I'm gonna go shoot this fucking jumper in your face right there in that corner. And it's gonna be your Christmas present. I'm gonna wrap it up and bust your head open. All that shit. He was the coldest dude I ever seen with that shit, man. Everybody be talking about these greats. They don't be always mentioning him. He was the shit.
Yeah.
The shit, man. He'll give it to you any way he wanted to. Any way he wanted to. Larry Bird was cold. Cold dude, man, real cold.
Gary Payton made a name for himself by getting into players' heads, but Larry Bird was one of the rare guys who could flip the script. Bird talked just as much, hit harder where it counted, and left even Payton shaking his head in disbelief, admitting Bird had more vicious words to say than him.
But Larry Bird was cold. I don't think nobody ever could get out with him. You ask Magic. That's why Magic had a run, and he was mad when he had to retire in '92 because of what he was going to be missing with Larry Bird. And then you remember Larry Bird took 2 more years, and then he quit because he said his main guy who he wanted to play against is gone.
For a guy like Payton, one of the best defenders and biggest trash talkers in NBA history, it was maddening. Because when someone tells you what's coming and you still can't stop it, that's not just skill. That's psychological warfare. But Bird didn't just get under the skin of guards. He dominated the big physical enforcers too. Just ask Charles Barkley. Barkley was one of the most powerful forwards of his era, full of confidence and trash talk of his own. But even he admitted he could not keep up with the legend.
So, Larry Bird was a great trash talker. Okay. And he's like, Charles, y'all better get this old man off me. I'm telling you. And he's just roasting Doc.
Yeah.
He's like, and this was Doc last year, I think. He was right there. It was either last year or the year before. And he's killing Doc. And he's like, Chuck, I'm telling you for the last time, you better get over here because I'm going to kill this old man.
It was safe to say at this point, Bird had no regard for human life. Barkley was left speechless, seeing his teammate getting dismantled by Bird, and there was little he could do. When things got physical on the court, Bird wasn't one to back out and not only matched his opponent's intensity, but also outworked them on both ends of the floor. Even on All-Star Weekend, nobody was safe.
I tell you, Larry Bird was one of the best trash talkers ever. So one of my teammates, Leon Wood, was he's an NBA official now.
Yes,
So we're in the room getting ready for the 3-point contest at an All-Star game. Larry walks in and says, which one of y'all gonna come in second place? Y'all heard me. Which one of y'all gonna come in second place? I was like, damn, that was like my first real talk to him. Ooh, that sounded pretty aggressive. He won though. He won. I mean, he was one of the best at trash talking, man. When he came in there and said that, you could have heard a pin drop.
Barkley to this day considers Bird to be one of the best trash talkers the league has ever seen. Chuck early on in his career saw just how capable and determined Bird was at getting into someone's head, even if it meant throwing hands. Whether you are Dr. J or a scrub on the end of the bench, he served equal doses for everybody, including Shawn Kemp, who thought he could outplay the legend during his rookie year.
First of all, we got to Boston that night. He had some knee pain. I was like, it's a hell of a time for you to come over with a knee pain. I ain't going tonight. You got it.
Yeah, you don't want to see that.
Yeah, then I look at the boy, Shawn Kemp, Larry Bird. I'm like, so I look in the mirror. I'm like, well, shit, man, I'm about to get this one fits out here tonight. So before the game, I was over there rubbing my hands, looking at him like, I'm about to get you.
Kemp thought he could best Bird in this matchup after hearing the media speculating about Bird's decline. However, Kemp wasn't aware that Bird heard it all and was looking to make a statement.
Yeah. Before the game, he told me, he was like, he just shook his head at me. He said, man, it's going to be a night for you.
So what did he put up?
I think he gave me 46 and 3.
What'd you do?
Man, I hadn't found out, but I was on his ass. I'm gonna tell y'all this, man.
Unlike any veteran, Bird gave Kemp a rude awakening and a harsh reality check about how the league really worked. It is almost as if Bird had a thing for welcoming rookies to the league with his vintage performance, which reminded them of their place in the league early on. Bird didn't just talk to players, he talked to the bench, coaches, even fans, and the scary part, he rarely missed after calling his shots. There are no better stories than what Byron Scott had to say about Bird's antics.
I remember.
Told me, he said 50, 54.
I love it.
That's how bad that boy was.
Whoa. Mike was a bad dude. Man. Mike was a bad dude.
Man. Larry Bird, to me, it was so much fun playing against him because he talked so much shit.
Well, what he hit you? What's something simple he hit you with?
He hit you with you jump high, but you don't jump that high. You can't get this. He hit you with, listen, guys, don't worry about the play. I'm gonna go right over here, catch it, and shoot it in y'all face, and ain't a damn thing y'all can do about it.
And he did it.
Ooh. So I remember the 30 for 30 we was talking about. The rivalry between the Lakers and Celtics. Right. And I remember talking about, he talked a whole lot of shit, but I guess it ain't shit talking if you backing it up.
Byron Scott had the unenviable task of guarding Larry Bird during the height of the Lakers-Celtics rivalry, and he never forgot what that felt like. Scott, a tough defender in his own right, recalled how Bird didn't just play with skill, he played with arrogance, the kind that was earned.
Larry Bird talked more trash on the basketball court than anybody I've ever played against. And he told me two things one game. Our rotations, double teaming Kevin McHale always had to rotate to the corner, and Larry Bird was the one shooting it. So he shot one, and I'm trying to block this shot, and he would just tell me, Scott, you're a little too late. A little too late. So we playing him, in the last play, he says to James Worthy, he says, you guys don't have to worry about it. I'm going to go right over there that corner. He said, they're going to set a screen for me. We're taking the ball out. He said, I'm going to curl right over. And he's telling us to play.
Scott said guarding Bird was like being in a nightmare you couldn't wake up from. He'd call his shots, tell you how and where he was going to score, and then do it over and over again. He wasn't the fastest or the strongest, but he was always 5 steps ahead. Isaiah Thomas had a similar story from his battles with Bird. To Larry, it wasn't about race, it was about respect. If you put someone on him who couldn't compete, he'd let you and the whole arena know it. Bird expected the best, demanded the challenge, and when he didn't get it, he took it personally. Just ask Isaiah.
So Larry used to always call me Cheesy, right? He's like, Cheesy, who guard me? And I was like, I got Kelly, I got Lamb, I got Benson. He's like, you ain't got no brothers? He's like you He's like, you
disrespecting me.
That's what he said.
Eventually, many of the players got the memo to never put a white guard on Larry Legend unless you wanted to add more gasoline to the fire, of course.
He said, hey man, you can't put no white dude on me.
Hey, bro.
That is straight disrespect, right? He said, don't put no white dude on me. So check this out. So the next year we come back, I said, I got somebody for your ass, right?
Yeah.
He said, who you got? I said, Robin. He said, okay, he's a little better. He said, but don't ever put no white dude on me because that is disrespectful. I was like, okay.
Isaiah wasn't easily impressed. He battled against legends nightly, but with Bird, it was everything but ordinary. He once said Bird was the only player who could trash talk you, hit the shot, and be halfway back on defense before you even realized what happened. That wasn't just confidence. It was a cold, calculated control of the game that few players in history ever reached. Reggie Miller always prided himself on his confidence and his trash talk. But long before he became one of the most clutch shooters in NBA history, he got a harsh lesson in humility from Larry Bird during a summer pickup game at UCLA.
And Larry walks in, right? So you have the Lakers, you have the selection of pro players, UCLA A and B team. So of course Larry says, all right, I want to be on that, selection of pro teams. And everyone's like, oh my God, Larry, Magic. They didn't like,
Yeah.
That was the first time I saw Buck, like, okay. There ain't gonna be none of this bullshit you're calling on today.
Right. Yeah.
Because Larry was like,
Larry wasn't having it.
Larry wasn't having it.
This was during a run of pickup games before Magic's charity match, with a selection of pro players and college players. At the time, a young Reggie idolized Bird, and the aura changed once he walked into that room, with everyone turning heads, expecting a great matchup. With no footage of the said pickup games, let's hear it from Reggie how the runs went.
Oh my God, some of the passes. And then Coop and Larry really didn't like one another. I mean, really didn't like one another. No, I got him. Coop, I got him. I want him. I'm like, oh, this is what I was learning.
Right,
This
that's
is
crazy.
This is all going into the DNA. This is what, I'm like, okay. I mean, again, never take a step back. Take two forward. Don't ever take a step back. No, I want him. I don't care if it's summer league. I want him. I'm like, oh man, this is good.
Bird wanted to take everyone head on. It didn't matter if it was the off-season or a pickup run. He wanted to shut them down, verbally and physically, by taking on the tough matchups he wanted and letting all the young guys know exactly who they were dealing with. It was a lesson and a warning, because with Larry Bird, the trash talk came before, during, and after the bucket. Bernard King was known for his scoring brilliance and unstoppable mid-range game. King was one of the few players who could go toe-to-toe with Bird in a shootout. However, when King decided he was the best player in the league, Bird had to show him how wrong he was.
Well, Bird, I couldn't defend Bird at all. Obviously we're matched up. You're guarding me, and then I got to find Birds on the floor to switch over and defend him. And Bird was the toughest player I've ever had to face.
King has openly admitted that Bird was the toughest player he ever faced. Not just because of the scoring, though Bird could match him bucket for bucket, but because of everything else. The basketball IQ, the physicality, the trash talk, and the way Larry seemed to know exactly what you were going to do before you did it.
The guy is 6'10", I'm 6'7". He can pass over the top of me, put the ball on the floor. He's a great rebounder and obviously a great scorer. And so Bird, for me, was the toughest matchup I ever had during the course of my career.
Even legends like Bernard King, who went toe-to-toe with the best, called Larry Bird their toughest matchup. But Bird's intimidation didn't stop when he retired. In fact, his reputation followed him off the court and into the front office. Years after Bird hung up his jersey, he was working with the Indiana Pacers and Peja Stojakovic in his pregame warm-ups. Confident, smooth, and unconscious from deep until Bird walked by. We played a terrible game in Washington, scoring only 79 points. It was an awful performance. We couldn't hit anything. The next morning at practice, while we were stretching, Larry Bird, who was around 50 years old at the time, walked into the gym, took off his blazer, grabbed a ball, and started shooting threes. He hit 20 out of 20. Let me remind you, he did all of that wearing a dress shirt, slacks, and loafers. When he finished, he gently put the ball down, stretched his back a little, put his blazer back on, and walked out of the gym without saying a word, he continued. These stories were common even after his retirement. Years later, Bird did it again. Like Stojakovic, former Pacers star shooting guard Paul George also witnessed the timeless shooting prowess of the Hick from French Lick. Larry Bird wasn't the most athletic. He wasn't the fastest. He didn't have a flashy handle or high-flying dunks. But what he did have was a killer instinct, unmatched confidence, and a basketball mind years ahead of his time. From rookies like Reggie Miller to veterans like Bernard King, from trash talkers like Gary Payton to bruisers like Charles Barkley, Bird left his mark on everyone. He embarrassed you with words, destroyed you with fundamentals, and outworked you with grit. And the craziest part? He told you exactly how he was going to do it, then did it. The legends feared him not because of theatrics, but because he didn't need them. He was surgical, ruthless, unmatched, and whether you were guarding him in the NBA Finals, a summer pickup game, or just warming up in the gym, if Larry Bird was in the building, you knew your fate.